You're listening to Arsenal Pass, a flesh and blood podcast for players by players. And all about strategy, leveling up, and the latest news in the world of Wraith. Welcome to Arsenal Pass.
Pre-release season is upon us, debuting the new set Super Slam, and for that we have two amazing guests for all of you on Arsenal Pass. We have the two calling finalists of this past weekend. We've got Sunny Young, who ended up taking it down, and we've got Jordan Jalbert-Ross, who came runner-up at the calling, and both of them, for those of you who do not know, are also ex-Canadian champions. Well, Jordan's the current reigning Canadian champion, and Sunny Young won in Canada in 2024. And of course, they had an amazing calling weekend this past weekend as well. And Jordan also came runner-up at the calling attached to US Nationals, the calling Vegas. So huge congrats to both of them. Thank both of you for coming on. Sunny, how are you doing?
Good. Glad to be on here. Thanks for the invite.
Jordan, how have you been?
I've been doing great. I've coming back from World Premiere was a big weekend, so now I'm just chilling a little bit more.
So, have you all done anything in Flesh and Blood recently since the weekend, I guess? I don't know, maybe some CC brewing or preparing for pre-release? You tell me.
Absolutely not.
Just taking a well-earned break?
Yeah, I think after pre-release weekend, I'll dive in pretty deep on CC and LL for Worlds.
I've been CC gaming a little bit. I've been getting back into it. I was a lot on LL during the last week/month, so getting back into CC with the new meta and everything. We have all the cards, so we have all the information. So I've been brewing a little bit, trying the Liath.
Okay. Do you think any of the Super Slam heroes have legs in CC?
I think Liath seems like hard to crack a little bit. Like he seems like there's some cards that just seems that they go well in them, but sometimes just doesn't fit that much. Pleades, I kind of believe in Pleades, but early testing has not been amazing. But it's very day -8, right? Like so.
I mean, she got the Armory deck, which means she's the broken one, right? Obviously, like that's the way it works.
That's true. Forgot about that.
Yeah. Cool. So we'll be focusing on Super Slam Limited in the main topic. We'll be talking a lot about Sealed. Everyone wants to know your thoughts on it because y'all obviously did the best this past weekend, which funnily enough, just shout out to Canada as a region, I guess, because I know a lot of them were smug about it, so we're just going to bring it up here. A whole bunch of them, like players like Yuki and Tariq Patel and Aaron Chance, were off away that weekend because they were at Aaron Chance's wedding. And it was still a double Canadian finals. So, shout out to your region, I guess y'all own.
Canada.
Yeah, had to hold down the fort.
Yep, and you did it amazingly. All right, but before that, we're going to get into the news real quick, which there isn't too much to talk about because it was a world premiere this past weekend. That was the news, folks. Go check out the coverage stream because it was awesome. It was really, really fun. Just super laid back, excited vibe, and was an absolute blast. And congrats to Sunny Young for taking it down, and for Jordan for coming runner-up and reaching the finals. We always add, the winners of the past weekend in our news, and it's really funny because both of you are literally here as I'm shouting you guys up. And we have a command and cookout question for this week, which is a fun and interesting one. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on this. This one comes from Jeremy Ford and was given to me handwritten at the world premiere, so thank you for that. I love getting paper questions. It is so fun. If you get to create the next hero or whole class, what would you want them to look and play like? Jordan, let's start with you.
All right. I've talked about it before. I still want it. That was my prediction for this set. Did not happen. I still want my Ice Brute, which would be a Yeti. Brute with some nice disruption. I know Ice is a little toxic. It doesn't matter. I want to be part of that fun for once. Never played a Ice hero, so.
Never played. Oh, you didn't experience the joys of Icelander? I'm so sorry.
Only played against it.
Oh, that's even worse.
Here.
and no Guardian, no like Oldhim even.
No, I played Star Wars in LL actually. Played Star Wars at BH Chicago.
Well,
which counts.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most toxic of all of them. So, yeah.
Yes.
I would say that counts.
Yes, definitely.
Sunny, what hero would you design or hope for?
Yeah, I think a new class that they could add would be maybe a druid class.
Ooh.
Ever since I saw them put like these, I don't know what they call like hero transformations with like the Levia and the Teklovasin. I was hoping, maybe in the future they could do like maybe a dual-sided hero. They can like switch between sides, in the game. And then, each side plays differently, so depending on the hand you draw, maybe you want to be on the other side or vice versa. And maybe you can like even have one side be like talent and another side be like a different talent. I don't know. But when I saw those kinds of cards be released, I was like, oh, there's a lot of design space there they can go into. So I think that'd be pretty interesting.
So kind of like Arachne Marinette, except you have maybe more control over like the agents you
Yeah,
transform into. And
more control of what you transform into for sure. And because even when you transform, it's like every Mario form, it's all just discard a card, react for 3. So hopefully, the forms would play a little differently than each other.
and probably also less transient, I guess. Not just you swap out automatically at the end of the turn. You can stay in this for a little bit and then switch later on if you want
exactly.
to. That sounds really cool. My answer to this question, which I'm sure a lot of people will immediately flag as very toxic, is Mystic Wizard. Just because I see Mystic and I'm just like, it's a blue-based thing. You're doing this instant speed stuff. It just sounds like Wizard should be in there somewhere. I don't know how they'll balance it ever, because I do feel like a blue-based Wizard will absolutely just destroy everything. I mean, Iyslander was kind of that, and she was really, really good, right?
Yeah.
That being said, I'm going to tangent real quick here. I did feel like Super Slime heroes, if I look at them sort of from like a top-level view, like a forest overhead view, if I told you there was a hero that wanted to put these temporary objects on the field with counters on them that were ticking down, and you were trying to manipulate the counters on them so that they all pop at the same time, to me that sounds like a wizard. I'm like, how is this person not a wizard? Like, you're like putting these spells down and then they're like popping off and you're trying to like invoke a bigger spell from like these smaller pieces. That sounds like a wizard to me. And if you told me there was a 5 intellect hero, I'd be like, yeah, that's obviously has to be a wizard, right? So
Yeah, makes sense.
bit of a flavor fail in my opinion. The other one, which I think would be really interesting, is Beastmaster Ranger, which I don't know how much y'all listen to the pod, but I normally don't like board stay stuff. But I feel like Beastmaster Ranger has this flavor in it, which I think would be really, really cool, where the companion is like permanent, but then you get benefits where, say, you attack after the companion, or attack before the companion, and the companion dies, it's like really bad, but maybe you have like one like final like channel their spirit or something, like ultimate ability that you only get once they've died or something like this. I'm not sure how they'll balance that, obviously, especially health pool wise, but I think that'd be pretty cool.
I know about companions. Okay, when Ices came out, I started playing Puffin, and it's great. You got your parrot, and it just gets one shot by one arcane on turn 0. The pain,
Oh, no.
the pain is unimaginable.
Was Puffin your sort of first pick? Like when High Seas came out, was that the hero you're most excited for?
Yes, I was gonna play Puffin. I almost played it at Nats, but ended up not.
Good thing you didn't.
Which was a good choice. Good choice that I didn't.
Yeah, that would have been a very different story, I think, if you played Puffin at Canadian Nats. All right, awesome. With that, we're gonna move on to the main topic, which is crush your Super Slam pre-release with 2 pros who have done the best in like the only Super Slam limited premiere event there ever will be. So these are the experts. By and large, everything they say is pure gold and should be taken as fact. So with that, we're going to start with some overall general points about the set in general. I'm going to start off with, do you think there is a best hero in this set? Sunny, would you like to start us off?
Yeah, I think for sealed, if you can open the right pool, I think Liath is definitely the best hero. Just like having 5 intellect, meaning assuming you have a good pool and all your cards are good, his downside of having the value of your cards, it actually isn't that impactful to you. Plus, because you have 5 intellect, you're digging through your deck faster than your opponents, so you're seeing your bombs or any powerful cards earlier before your opponent can see theirs.
That makes a lot of sense. And also, thanks for priming it at the beginning. Yes, we will be focusing on sealed for this entire main topic because no one's going to be playing draft at your pre-release. There isn't any, draft premier level event for Super Slam draft. So we'll be focusing on sealed for your pre-release this coming weekend, which you should definitely go to, all the viewers and listeners. Jordan, any thoughts on best hero?
I also think it's Liath. I think, which is kind of interesting. Like, if you look at the statistics from calling, it was the least played hero in sealed. And I think it does make sense. It is the best hero, but you do need, like, if you have the best pool of all the pools that exist in sealed, you'll get a Liath deck. But you need the pool. You can't just open your pool blind and just say, I'm going Liath. In specific stuff that we'll talk about later. But I think if there's a default hero, in my opinion, some people could say it's Toughnut. For me, I think KO. I think KO is the one that you can just kind of throw a deck together and you'll be fine.
Okay.
Which I've done in the first day on Friday.
The stats were super interesting because, Liath was the least played, but the most converting to day 2. I think there were like 50-something Liaths, but the percentage-wise, when I say most converting, I mean percentage-wise, not raw numbers-wise, was the most converting in day 2, which I think just goes to just supports exactly what the both of you are saying. Where if you get that pool for it, you're going to do really well. Sunny, you brought this up a little bit when you're talking about the 5 intellect draws you closer to bombs. So that brings us to our next topic when talking about overall general points of the set. What are some of the bombs in this format? So when we say bombs, there's like in MST, I think of Mirror Guy, right? In Rosetta, I think Germinate. Do those really exist in Super Slam? And if they do, what would they be?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if Jordan's thinking about the same card I am, but it's Bully Tactics, man.
Bully
that card is
Tactics
broken.
Horrible. Horrible.
The card is so broken. I was literally, after Friday, I was literally crashing out about it. Like, after finishing like all the sealed events on Friday, I was like, how could they print a card like that? Because I think like right now you have to discard a card to intim, and this guy gets to just pay 1 and intim and do it 3 times. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it was. I think it's like when you think there were a couple bombs of that set, but I think Bully Tactics, which is the one that when you attack for 3, you can pay like up to 3 to intimidate that many times, is like you play your opponent, you see, oh, he's popping 2 auras, but I got a life lead. It's fine. I'm gonna block my whole hand, and then he just intimidates you 3 times. He plays a pump that intimidates you, and then intimidates the rest of your hand. You're like, okay, that was fun. That is like the bomb, I would say.
Or if you're Toughnut and you only have 3 intellect, and you have 4 toughness tokens that are popping, and it's like, okay, here's a Bully Tactics, take your whole hand. Nice toughness tokens, idiot. Just like completely get no value from it. Yeah. I actually had it was in one of the sealed side events. I didn't manage to have a triple intimidate, but I had like a double intimidate against a toughness, and they were just left with like a block card in hand. So then they had like their 2 or 3 toughness tokens still didn't do anything. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, Intimidate seems very mean against that hero.
Yeah. That's rough.
Any other bombs aside from Bully Tactics? Maybe what about the revered one, No Hero Stands Alone, I believe? The one that can basically block up to 6 if you win the clash?
I didn't Hero Stands Alone. Wait, which one is that one?
That's the one with Ambush.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but that one I feel like that one can bite you a little bit.
True.
But definitely it's
very high upside. Yeah, very, very high ceiling on that card. Definitely wouldn't be where I am without it. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. There were 2 in our last draft pod going around. So.
Oh, it was actually really funny because in the top 8, Sunny, we saw your game where you won the clash and you blocked 6, but then the other person who had it in the pod, I forget who it was, but they lost the clash.
It was Evan.
Evan.
And he played against me on stream, and he missed it at the end.
And he lost the clash, and then basically lost in the game too. So
yeah.
Cool. Any other bombs stick out to you?
There is Big Bully, which I've heard a lot about, which didn't work that well for, like, I've seen friends talk about Big Bully, which was it's the Shadow Breath, I think.
It's the
Yeah.
Reviled Brute one. It costs 2,
Yeah, the
attacks for
Reviled Brute
4.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, like heard a lot of people is saying it was just a 3-card 12. Like you just block, 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 and then the opponent would give you space, and you do okay 3-card 12. Which I thought it was a bit harder than that because you do need to get boot, so you need to have more HP than them, which is kind of hard while keeping 3 cards. But if you can get a boo with like Villainous Pose or some stuff, it's very good.
Yeah, but if you get booed by Villainous Pose, then you still need you need a Vigor or something somewhere,
Yeah,
because then you're
it's
paying
not you need a
8.
whole hand. It's not that good, right?
Yeah, that's an 8 resource play, right? At that point,
Right.
which is like
Mhm.
a little bit off. So you need like 2 Vigor tokens to make that okay, or have another 1 pitch outlet somewhere else. Maybe you have a Malevolent Gesture or something.
Again, other liar card. Leave them hanging is also extremely good. It's like, yeah, that's the only ice hero thing in this set. It's the leave them hanging. Like you're just pump and you're about to throw your 3 for 7s and they just intimidate. And now you have no turn, you just lost a bazillion value. And you're never gonna play around it ever, right? Like you won't say, all right, this guy might have a leaving them hanging. You're not gonna do that. So
Yeah. Truth or Trickery is maybe the other closest thing to like an ice thing, but that one's like so much more unreliable, and you don't lose your turn. Like you've already attacked them. You maybe lose your arsenal or something. But like that's
fun
about
card
it.
though. Very fun card. Truth Trickery, very fun.
Okay, do you have a heuristic for, say you're the one blocking with Truth or Trickery? Do you always lie, or do you always say the truth? Like, what's your heuristic for that card if you block with it?
I
Do you all have
have no idea actually. I never thought about if I block with it. I know what I'm doing if I'm playing against it,
Okay, well,
but
what is it?
I don't know what I'm doing if I'm blocking with it. I think I just go feeling. I just, go, maybe I can get that guy. I don't know. As you're attacking with it, actually, that's a bit of a sad answer. But I just go randomly. I don't trust myself. I asked the judge, I said, can I roll a die for that? And he said, and after thinking about it a little bit, he said yes. And then my opponent did the thing, looked at his top card, said yellow, put it back. And I was like, man, this man is lying. This man is lying. And then I was gonna say lying. I was like, I don't trust myself. Threw a dice. 1, 2, 3 was truth, and the other one was lying. Got a 1, 2, 3. I said, telling the truth, man. It was a yellow. Did not lose my card. I was
Wow.
like, this was such a like a meta move, such I felt a pro gamer move, not fun, not in the spirit of the game. But listen, I get my odds, right?
Mm-hmm. Wait, that's really smart, actually. Now I'm thinking if I'm blocking with it, I should do the same thing in reverse. Like roll a die and decide if I'm going to lie or not. But obviously my opponent won't know which one is the lie and not. Yeah. Huh. Then we're both just rolling dice, basically. Sunny, do you have thoughts?
Well, if you do that, the value is still pretty good.
Yeah?
I remember reading the rule reprise that was like, if you block with it, you have to look at the top card of your deck. You can't just not look at it.
Yeah.
Because it's part of if it's you may look, and if you do, blah, blah, blah. So if you don't look, you don't do the effect.
Yeah. But like how
looking?
Yeah, exactly. How do you prove that you've looked at the card?
It's like, because if you do really flip it extremely quick, and then say, I saw it, I swear.
Yeah.
It's yellow. And you just
just say a color and stare at the opponent.
Yeah.
All right, so coming back to general things about Super Slam Sealed. What do y'all think about the pace of the format? Because on the coverage side, it was so interesting. We had both sides, and we were talking about this before, a bit of a pre-pod banter over here. We had games that ended in like 4 turns because the Liath went 20-20, and then opponent just died. But then we had games that went to second cycle. We had games where players were decking out, and then we had games where I think only happened once on stream where it was a deterministic draw, basically, where both players were just out of damage in deck. Do y'all have maybe an idea for what the pace of the format tends to be? Or maybe what you're looking to play towards, maybe?
I think the format is generally slower than some of the other sealed formats we've seen previously. I think almost every game I played the weekend went to second cycle. Of course, there are gonna be those like outlier games where, you know, someone just draws the nuts, like exactly what they need to just blow you out, which can happen. But I think in general, it's a slower format where you do get the opportunity to see all the cards in your deck, and you do get the opportunity to like set up throughout the game.
Did you feel that way even when you were playing against Liath?
Yes, I think even when the Liath player saw the cards that they needed, that didn't always mean like, oh, I'm dead. Unless it was bully tactics. You know, just because they're swinging like 20 at me, like still blocking out 12 and going to 8, like taking 8, like you can still do that like twice in the game and not die. So, and then usually by the time that's happened, they only have, you know, so much gas left in the tank as well. Um,
The
so
thing
for
is,
sure,
sorry,
yeah,
I'll let you
sorry.
finish.
For sure, like it can happen where the Liath player like does like draw the nuts and they intimidate you as well, and you know, and they, you know, got a power play in Arsenal, so like it's even like an on rate attack. But like I played like what 15 like 20 games that weekend, and I think every game I went to second cycle. So
Yeah. Um, something is very interesting. So like if you look on stream and you think simply about like, all right, this guy just did one card 25, like not one card, but like one attack for 25. 2 turns later did one attack for 21. But like if you take it turn by turn cycle, like it's very low powered in the sense that, you know, sometimes you'll blow out your opponent with some big 24 evasion, but that took you 3 turns of like 8 value per turn, right? So it's very low powered, but because there's a lot of evasion, intimidate and getting over the top, or confidence token, that makes it that it feels like it goes really hard really fast, and sometimes it does because of that, because like turn 3 or turn 4 you'll just do something that's way too big and you just go over the top and it's over. But actually, yeah, a lot of the games, it's like even if you play Liath, unless you draw the nuts, often you'll do like a big turn and then you'll have to, you know, get to some of your last cards before doing your other big turn. So yeah, I think, but a lot of games that goes to fatigue. It really depends on the matchup. As soon as Lie's there, the math breaks out a little, but the other matchups, they're really grindy.
Mm-hmm. And toughness tokens also come into play there, right? Like especially like we're talking about confidence, and intimidate isn't like that prevalent. Obviously, we've spoken about bully tactics quite a bit, but not everyone has that much access to intimidate. So some other heroes sending like 14 or something, but then the Toughnut has like 2 to 3 toughness tokens, and suddenly you're like, wait, that was actually fine for them, and it survived, was still with the life lead, for example. We actually saw that happen quite a bit, even. Okay. Thoughts on going first or going second? Is there a general consensus, or do you think it is very hero specific, where maybe one hero in particular wants to go one way, or do you think there is a general going first or second advantage?
I think it's hero specific. There's some matchups I think we'll talk about later. I think there's some matchups you just want to go first, and some matchups you want to go second. A lot of heroes like Guardians can do stuff on turn 0, but they're kind of funny because they can also do something on your turn 0, which make it, which like if they couldn't, you would want them to go first, but because I mean you'd want them to go second, but because they can do it on your own turn, you don't want to be like, all right, 6 on your own turn 0, attack for like nothing, and then they set up on your turn 0. You know, it's like back then when Aurora would like channel Lightning Valley on your turn. Same thing, right? You don't want that. So yeah, we'll talk about it, I think, but yeah, I don't think there's no consensus for first or second. It really depends on the matchup.
Okay.
yeah, I think I agree with that. That it depends on what you're playing as well as what you're playing against. It's not as easy as, you know, hunted sealed where it's like, yep, I'm going second.
Cool. Yeah, that is basically why I thought it would be good to like clear that up, because there have been formats in the past where it is basically is very unique situations where you don't pick either the first or second depending on the format. Like Hunter, to your point, it was like basically go second almost all the time. So in this one, it is a little bit more matchup specific, maybe a little more deck specific as well.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. Okay, cool. Anything else you want to talk about overall consensus regarding this format before we move on to hero specifics?
It is fun. I thought there's no like before, if like you actually open your pre-release pool and you're like, this, I want to play this deck. They're all playable. They're all good decks. There's no like for example in Rosetta Sealed, it was a bit iffy. Like the lightning was just less strong. I don't feel there's anyone that's like much worse in this set. I think it really depends on your pool. I think if we played that sealed over and over and over and over, Toughnut would be a little worse, just because he's like, you need to learn how to play against them more than the other heroes. But if you're going pre-release, it's like is the first time touching a set for most people. Toughnut is very nice. Toughnut is very good. People are gonna lose to it. They're not gonna understand why. Like, this guy does nothing. He has three cards. Why do I have no deck? But they're all fun. They're all playable. They're all fun. Yeah, it's very nice.
It did feel like there was a bit of a sine wave regarding Toughnut. A lot of people coming to the weekend were like, "Oh, this hero's unplayable." And then after the world premiere, people were like, "Wait, is Toughnut the best deck?" And then day 2 of the calling, people are like, "No, you just set up against a Toughnut and they die." I mean, except Sunny, I guess, who like wins the whole thing on it. But yeah,
different in draft. It's different in draft. In draft, he's very real, and I don't think you can make him not real. Because there's only so much setup you can have in draft when everybody's taking your cards.
True.
But like it's sealed, you can work it around it a little more.
Cool. Sunny, any more general thoughts on the format?
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a very fun format. I was a bit worried when they didn't make this limited format part of the Worlds format. I was like, oh, like, are they trying to say that, Super Slam Limited isn't very good? Which I'm glad that ended up not being the case. Like, I did have a lot of fun this weekend. I think, as Jordan said, all the heroes are, equally viable and sealed. It's not like, Rosetta, as you mentioned, or even High Seas. I felt like even in High Seas, like, most of your pools were going to be gravy pools. Versus in this sealed format, like, you really could open a pool for any hero, and it's, like, all as likely.
Cool. Awesome. That's great to hear. Okay, we're going to move on to talk about hero specifics here. Starting with Toughnut. I think there was a bit of a consensus going on over the weekend. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts on that. I think, Jordan, you touched on this earlier as well. Toughnut's like the default hero, like the sort of like the Fi in Uprising, where your pool doesn't like lend you very well towards like Liath or Pleades or something, so you just like default to Toughnut. Would like both of you agree with that?
I think that it's just that Toughnut's floor to be playable is the highest out of all the heroes, because people think, oh, all you need are the yellow 6s and you're golden, which is true to some extent. So I think in that sense, yes, he could be seen as sort of the default, but there are definitely some specific cards you would prefer to have in your Toughnut deck that you might feel the pain if you don't.
Yeah. For me, to be honest, I've been like, I've been taking my pools, and I was talking to someone who told me it's when we thought like Toughnut was not good at all. He did a Toughnut pool, and he did like very well with it. The 3-on or 4-0, and it was like, yeah, 14 yellow 6s is good enough. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a lot. And then I opened my next pool, and I had like 5. I was like, that's not enough. But I don't know. I'll be happy to hear on Sunny's thoughts on like the number of 6s and whatever that you need. I felt like you needed like a good couple yellow 6s, but maybe you don't need as much. I'm not sure.
That's an excellent point, actually. It's an excellent segue, because the next conversation is ratios for Toughnut. So there's 6s, and then there's yellows, blues, and reds, I guess. So, Sunny, I think you played Toughnut the most, or more than like Jordan the past weekend, I think.
Yeah.
So why don't you start us off on talking about like in your ideal Toughnut deck, what are your thoughts on like how many sixes you should have and how many resource cards like yellows and blues and how many reds?
Yeah. So I think in terms of yellow sixes, there are going to be a lot you can find in both Brute and the Revered, but there are also some that will come in the generic slot. From I forgot the name, but the one that's like opt when you block with it.
Right behind
Um,
you, I think that's one.
yeah, yeah, right behind you. So there's more than you would normally expect. I think that's how people realize why it's so viable is because there are so many revered yellow sixes and so many brute yellow sixes and even some generic ones. What I found was you I think 12 is um a good spot to be around. Not less than 8. I think if you're like 8 or lower, you're cutting it way too close at that point, and I think your deck will struggle. But I think 12 is a good sweet spot. Like obviously more is great, but um yeah, I'd say if you have around um, I think unless I had at least 12, I wouldn't really want to be playing Tough Nut. Yeah.
And when you say 12, you mean yellow sixes specifically?
12 yellow sixes
Okay.
specifically. Yeah.
And how many sixes total do you want in your Toughnut 30?
Well, because toughness ability is like 6 or greater, any reds that are 7 are basically the same as well. So other than the yellow sixes, like any reds that are 6 or 7 as well, those are just bonus. And this sort of ties into the second question about the blues. Like basically all your blues are misses off the top because except for like M's or supers, none of them are going to be 6 or higher. So you actually it's kind of interesting. The deck that is like 3 intellect and plays these like 3 for 7 attacks, you actually want to run a very low number of blues because it can hurt a lot to whiff on off the top and not get your toughness token. So it it sort of fluctuates with the ratios. The more 3 for 7s you have, um, and the more 3 for 7 reds you have, and the fewer yellows you have, the more blues you want to put in your deck. If you have more like 2 for 7 reds and 2 for
Yeah.
6 reds, then you can sort of cut back on blues. So I
Yeah.
think you can go to like usually 6 to 8 blues is a good range, I would say. So if you have more 3 for 7 reds and fewer yellows, you can beef up your blue count, and if you feel you're comfortable with your yellow count, then you can go on the lower end.
Okay. So that means that leaves you 22 to 24 sixes or above in your whole deck. That's where you'd say like a strong Toughnut pool is,
Yeah.
in a sense. Cool.
Yeah. And I think the 2 for like if you're playing reds, you want to make sure it's good reds. I think the 2 for 7s are premium. There's a couple. I think there's 2 commons. 2 for 7s.
Yeah, there's
There's
a revered
two-
one and there's a brute one.
Yeah, there's the give him a piece of your mind, and and these cards are like very good. There's another brute one which is rough up, I think. Rough
No,
up's
I don't
also
think it's
very
rough
good.
up. It because I know the guardian one is if they block it out, they get a confidence or tough. I think they get a toughness if they block it out, and then the brute one is if they block it out. It's also 2 for 7 blocks too. They get a vigor.
Yeah.
Okay, I forget the name of that one actually, but okay, so the 2 for 7s.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 for 7s are pretty good. Rough up is a common, which is 2 for 6, but if you have a 6 in your pitch, it's +1. So that one's pretty good because it's not a real 2 for 7, but it is.
In Toughnut, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, tough enough basically because you pitch a bunch of yellows and it becomes 7. So it's 2 for 7s like without really much downside.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about reds that are not sixes, because we saw a little bit of this. I think, Sunny, in your deck in particular on day 2, you had a couple of the buffs. Of course, draft is different. But in sealed, what are y'all's thoughts on the buffs, like heroic pose, for example? Where does that find a place in Toughnut? Is that maybe perhaps only matchup specific, where say you're against the Guardian that you know they're going to set up on you and give you and ask you at some point to convert 3 cards, and then you have them in your arsenal? Or is that still kind of lower priority and you'd rather just be like a Buckwild and not actually dilute your 6s? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think you really hit the nail on the head there at the end. I think instead of going for the heroic pose, I think that's more of a Pleiades card. I think Buck Wild is definitely the card that you should be looking for to sort of be able to convert your hand on a turn where they just like block out and then give you full tempo. In addition to Buck Wild, you can also take advantage of cards that aren't like aggressive in nature. I think it was called Humble Entrance, I believe. It was the blue that when you play it, you get to make 3 toughness tokens. So it doesn't do any damage, but it allows you to essentially still get 3 value out of a card on your turn.
And it punishes them if they made a bunch of mites, because you're literally countering that. Like you're there 3 mites and you make 3 toughness.
Yeah, I do think like Buckwild is a win condition in the Guardian matchups. There are a lot of times with your Guardian and you have like 7 HP and you think I'm about to set up and just like wreck him with a 20 something, and then you left him with 3 cards in arsenal and Toughnut ability, and he starts with Buckwild. You're like, ugh, I'll have to block.
Yeah. I think we saw that happen. Actually, did that happen to you, Jordan, in like the finals, right?
Yes.
Where it's like you needed to keep your whole hand, but then Sunny went wide on you.
Actually, it happened to me also in quarters. But in quarters, he did Buckwild, and then he did Toughnut ability, get a red. And then in hand, he had a red. In arsenal, he had a red that cost 3. So he ended up not having a follow-up. So I managed to do a big turn. But if he had a follow-up, I think I'd just lose. But yeah, like you plan a lot around the fact that he's sending a 2 for 8, or 2 for like a 3 for 8 at best. And when he goes again, when he does some go again on you, you feel it. Yeah.
Cool. Actually, so that's a great lead into our next topic for Toughnut specifically. Any gameplay tips with this hero? Like the weaknesses, I think we've covered it a little bit, where people will sometimes, I mean, they know they've set up into you, right? And you need ways to make sure that you can punish them for setting up on you. Like Buckwild is a much better option for that instead of heroic pose. So any specific gameplay tips or maybe specific interactions between cards, or say certain cards in particular? This is going to be quite a broad section. Certain cards in particular that really lean you towards Toughnut. I think a card that impressed me a lot was Dig In. Particularly, a Dig In was really cool. So because this whole aspect of, it seemed like Toughnut's turn cycle seemed the most impressive when they got to use Toughnut on the opponent's turn, because then they knew exactly the resource card they were working with, right? And Dig In is one of those perfect things where you just block with it, use your Toughnut on their turn, and you know exactly how much you can pay into it. You leave your blue in your hand. You don't need to question what you're allowed to block with or not. So things like that come to mind for both of you. Sunny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, for sure. Dig In is a card that's great in Toughnut because, as we've been talking, Toughnut's more of a value numbers deck, getting people to into like fatigue end states, and that card on its own is worth 6, right? When blocking, because pitching a card, you get to keep that card in your deck. You get the 3 value out of the toughness tokens, and usually, when your opponent's defending your attacks, they have to spend 2 cards to get the 6 value. Whereas in this case, you don't. And if you have a lot of dig-ins in your deck, you can sort of like chain them into each other. Or, your toughness pops, they swing at you for 6, let's say. So you block with a dig-in and you pitch into it. You make toughness tokens, and the next turn, those pop, and you 1 card block for 6 again.
Yeah.
So that's definitely really good. And you had mentioned as well about using Toughnut ability on your opponent's turn for information, which is, I guess, one of the interactions or gameplay tips that is good to be aware of is whether you Toughnut on your turn or your opponent's turn is pretty critical, because doing it on the wrong time it'll affect a lot about what you can do on your turn or what you can't do on your opponent's turn. I think most of the time I was using Toughnut ability on my turn just so that I could send an attack because maybe I didn't have a blue in hand and I needed to get a card off the top and then pitch a yellow in case, you know, it was a red or whatever it was. But instances where you can tough nut on your opponent's turn is when you know, oh, I have to block out this turn. Let me tough nut to pay into dig in, tough nut to get resources to pay into Brothers in Arms or into the Tabi Jugs, which is the pay one to block two boots.
Yeah, I think yeah, tough nut ability is pretty good and pretty versatile. It's very nice. I think yeah, he can break a little the math with cards like Diggin. Because sometimes you're feeling, all right, I have life lead. I'm gonna attack. He's gonna use 2 cards to block. Then he's gonna attack me. I'm not gonna block, and I'm gonna do some stuff. And then you attack him, and then he blocks, like, basically blocks 6 with a card. And now you're thinking, wait. Next turn, I'm about to send a 2 for 6, and he's gonna block with 1 card. That's horrible. So like he breaks up with a bit of the math because he's able to use more defensive. Like usually you always like you get your value by doing 2 for 8, like 2 card 8 and 2 card 7, but Toughnut is able to do some, 1 card, like 2 card 6 on defense, like not only using 1 deck card, which is so valuable.
I heard someone make the analogy that Toughnut was kind of like reverse Ira, where Ira's getting like +1 offense per turn cycle, and Toughnut's getting like +1 defense per turn cycle, and you need to find a way to punish that, or you're just gonna get fatigued, basically.
Yeah, in World Premiere, I played the World Premiere, or I think it was the 2 p.m. event. I played as Pleades into Toughnut, which I thought I was like, I have so many 3 for 8. This guy is gone. And at the end I had no deck. And I was like, how did that happen? Like, because I was at the beginning when I still thought that Toughnut was a bit of a meme. Not a meme at all. I was like, I lost. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I think we all were shocked by that. Okay, so we're gonna move on to Pleiades now. Keep it in the revered side of things before we talk about the reviled people. Yes, about Pleiades. What are some strong Pleiades pools? What is in your mind the mark of a strong Pleiades pool? Before we go into like specific ratios of like how many suspense auras you want.
Well,
revered helmet.
The revered helmet. That's true. That was in draft. Nobody's gonna draft, but it was pack 1, pick 1. I would take that thing and I would go. We're going in. Being able to say, all right, I need my confidence now, is amazing. So revered helmet, you need auras. If you don't have auras, you're just gonna lose against Toughnut. So like you need like 3, 4 at least red yellows. If you don't have that, hope you can dodge the Toughnut.
So I guess I feel like my question is, so Liath can also play the suspense auras, right? So what would put me in Pleiades over Liath, I guess? Like, is it literally just you can't make 30 cards in Liath? Because you tell me if you need enough suspense auras. I'm like, if I have that many suspense auras, I'd rather lean towards Liath. But what should there be in my pool that makes me think, I should be in Pleiades instead?
3 for 8s. 3 for 8s. They go very, like, some 3 for 8s are amazing. Like, Comeback Kid is just so good. It's a 2 card 8 that blocks 3 and gives you a confidence for next turn. It's like, wow. There's it's not smash him in the mouth. It's
shoot your mouth off. That's
shoot
the
your mouth
unconditional
off
2 card 8. Yeah.
Like if they block it all, they get a confidence. Man, if they block it all, they have 2 cards. I don't care. They have 1 card. I mean, like, I do not care. So cards like that, shoot your mouth off, power play. So 3 for 8, she's the one that can kind of like she'll grind you. There's a thing that Liath doesn't do that well, which is grind you down little. So you're like, all right, I'm taking 1 that turn, I'm taking 2, I'm taking 1, I'm taking 2, and at some point you're at 11, and now the confidence, like, I just do 1. I do not necessarily have a good value play, but I do something that gets you to 6 because you couldn't block more, and now you're at 6. I need like 1 pump and a confidence, and you're dead. So 3-4-8s are very good, and she's maybe the one with the most, I think.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's what you look for, 3-4-8 and the auras. I think that's the difference with Liath is the Guardian 3-4-8s, they're just unplayable in Liath, but they're amazing in Pleades.
What are your thoughts on the blue suspense auras? Because I'd say those are the ones that are pretty bad in Liath, but they're good in Pleiades because you can actually keep them around. Do you think that's enough of a push factor to move you into Pleiades, or is their value still kind of like dubious in sealed?
I think it depends on the one you have. I think the obvious one is the +1 on your first attack, because the longer you can keep that around, that's just +1 value for the rest of the game. Whereas the discount one, like that seems really strong, but you may not always be able to take advantage of that extra resource.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. The blue auras that are like that do something every turn. If you have like a good amount of red auras and whatever, you can like. I've had my 2 first Pleiades game when I played it in sealed in the 2 p.m. event. I played like on turn 1. Your first attack gets +1 every turn, and the game would end and it would still be on the board. Because I would like play a red aura, move the counter to it, play a red aura, move the counter to it, making it that it just never dies. And in the end, it becomes a blue that does like 5-6 value in a turn, which is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Liath just cannot play them because they block 2, they block 1, and if they pump it, they block 2. And if he uses Liath ability, block 2. So it's not.
No, they can't even
not
pump
that
it.
good.
It's not an action.
Yeah.
They can't even
That's
pump it.
reaction.
It's an instant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It does nothing.
it just
It
blocks
does
one.
nothing. It blocks
It's so
one.
bad.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the blue auras, that are like the pump auras, like Edge of the Sheet and whatever. I think they're okay. They're better than being played in Liath because you can block through with them. But like if you say, "Oh, I have 8 auras, 6 of them are blue," that's not it.
Okay. Okay, so you want lots of 3-4-8s, and you want a good number of suspense auras, like 4 to 6 red-yellow suspense auras, and then you're on Pleiades. Any other ratios? I guess what's a resource curve looking like for Pleiades? How many blues do you want in your ideal Pleiades deck?
I liked 14. 14 was a good number. I was on high because one turn you don't get a blue, you're cooked. You draw your 3-4-8 and you have all blues. You send 8 with 4 cards. Horrible.
Right.
So I would play like 14. I would never go below 12. If you go like less than 12, I think wow, I don't know why you're doing that.
Right.
So I could say like 13 to 15, maybe. My golden number was 14.
Right. Also, you can use your blues in your opponent's turn as well, right? Because you are playing suspense auras on their turn too sometimes. And actually, yeah. So speaking of gameplay tips, I guess we're moving on to the next thing. Unless Sunny, do you have anything else you wanted to add about ratios?
The Jordan's numbers that he said is literally the exact same numbers I had in my head.
Okay, perfect.
The exact same ones, yeah.
So
yeah, right now, Sunny says a number also about like blues and number of yellows. I'm like, yeah.
That's really good. Oh, actually, I guess before we move on to gameplay tips, I'm playing auras on the opponent's turn. How many attacks do you want? Because, okay, this kind of happened to like Michael Fung when he was playing Liath, but I think like Pleades is maybe a little bit vulnerable to this happening as well, where you have all these auras and pumps, and then they pop off on your turn, and you don't have the attack. So you still need some critical mass of attacks, right? So how many attacks do you want in your 30? In a Pleiades deck?
I think for Pleiades, it doesn't hurt as much because in addition to the auras that Liath is playing, he's also playing all the reviled pump spells. And because Pleiades doesn't really play as many of those, like you have the heroic pose, but you don't really want too many of those in your deck anyway.
Yeah.
Just jamming the best attacks that you have, you'll probably be fine. I don't really like in my Pleiades games, I never really felt that I never had an attack to swing. If anything, it would be, I drew, like, this was my blue hand this turn. So instead of sending a 3 for 8, I'm sending a 3 for 6 because it's blue.
Okay.
but it's very rare that you'll be like, I drew all auras. Because you don't have that many. Usually you'll have way more attacks than you have auras. And if you draw all auras, but I think like if you say, oh, I have 15 auras to play, maybe don't play 15 auras. But like that probably won't happen in sealed.
Okay.
So you'll have enough attacks. You'll be good.
That helps. All right, gameplay tips then. I think where I'd like to start, but of course feel free to just add whatever tips come to your mind. I think a big thing for people maybe playing Pleades for the first time is using a hero ability, right? Like you can use it on their turn, and then you can activate Pleades on their turn, and immediately the aura will pop when it comes back to you. So you effectively just like did a go again pump, I guess, with extra steps. But of course, you balance that out with actually setting up something big, and especially around confidence and everything. So I guess what's your explain like M5 sort of thing, how you should be using Pleiades' ability to maximum effectiveness alongside confidence and things like that.
I think if there's some things you want, like if you had a perfect Pleiades goal, it would be to have a blue aura on the board, the ones that do something every turn, and then play your. I mean, like in the matchup, not Toughnut. Toughnut is a bit weird. But against the other heroes, you would want to have your blue auras, and then you play your red auras, and then you keep putting the counters on it, and you'll get a ton of values. If you don't do that, if you don't have like the blue auras to put the counters on, I would say usually do not play an aura, take off the counter, and have it pop like instantly. Try to do one big turn, or two big turn. Try to like, I play an aura and I, send something or block, doesn't matter. Next turn, I play another aura, block, do something, whatever. And then the next turn, one is going to pop on itself, and then the other one you can take a counter with Pleades ability, and then you get to sing a big attack. If you had the helmet, block with that, get a confidence. I think that's what you want to do. You want to use Pleades ability to not make the auras go faster. You want to make them go together. Yeah.
That helps a lot. I guess the way I've sort of been thinking about it, like Toughnut is a math-based deck, and that is just slowly outvaluing your opponent. But Pleiades' auras, if you look at their math, they're actually not in your favor, right? When you what's at edge of their seats? There's a 3-cost aura that only pumps 5. Like the 3-cost 5 is not great math. How she wins games is the combining those to pop off at the same time alongside evasion, right? It's kind of exactly what you're saying. So you want to pop together and ideally have a confidence as well, because to your point, you're talking about like once they get to 6 or something, you set that up and they just die. You're not trying to slowly grind them out. You're just chipping them down to like a lethal range, and then effectively like Storm Stride is killing them in a sense. It's like they just can't do anything.
Yeah. The thing is, thank God they're not on rate. Because in this set, it's like access to go again is not that prevalent. So like my opponent says attacks, he attacks with an attack, and then he arsenals a card. And then on my turn, I just play an aura and I say, go. It's going to be it's going to be pretty rare. I think that he's going to be able to use all these cards. So like, sometimes you would do against Toughnut, you would like play 2 aura, pass. That's what Leo did on stream on this 4th round, I think, with his Liath. He did, aura against Toughnut, and then Toughnut does, I have all these cards, I'll send 6. So even though they're undervalued, but with all the evasion and the fact that your opponent's turn will also be undervalued, because he'll send 2 cards 6, but then he'll IP2, right? So technically it's like a 4-card 6. Horrible. So it kind of, balances out. But yeah.
That's an excellent point. Anything else on Pleiades from either of you before we move on?
I don't think we've talked about going first or second that much.
Yeah.
As Pleades, I think you want to go first into Toughnut, because does Toughnut want to go second in any matchup?
I can't think of one, honestly.
Yeah. I think Toughnut wants to go first in every matchup, and I think against Pleades it's the case. So Pleades wants to go first. I think you want to go second against everything else. You want to go second against KO because you want tempo, and you want to go second against the other Guardians because if they decide on their turn 0, they're like, all right, I'm going to play this aura. Well, what do you do in response? I play mine. So you're winning that turn cycle extremely hard. Like if you manage to set up during your opponent's turn 0, it's like the math is just like crazy. So yeah, I think you want to go second into every matchup except Toughnut. You want to go first because, and if you can sometimes just throw cards and have him block, have him fatigue himself a little bit, or set up auras. Like if you can just set up auras, you'll be so happy. Yeah.
On that note, I think that's something you can manipulate with your deck as well. Because you were mentioning before, like, oh, if you have 15 auras, you don't want to put them all in your deck. So depending on whether you want the die roll or not, that might influence your decision about how many auras you want to be putting in your deck to increase the chance of seeing them on the first turn cycle.
That is really high level stuff. I actually didn't even think about that. That's amazing. Cool. Anything else on Pleades before we move on? Are we good to start with our reviled heroes?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yep. Sweet. All right, let's move on to reviled KO. Yeah, our reviled brute. We're moving back to the brute side of things. This hero feels just so mysterious because I thought this would be the default. I thought this would be the Phi, but it turns out like Toughnut's kind of more the Phi of the set. So I'm kind of curious. What's a good KO pool? Is it just like 10 mocking blows or something?
Well, I think Mocking Blow's not even that good. Because you can't get the boo that easily. Like Liath can get a boo like easily. Like if I my pool I have 3 Mocking Blows, I'm so trying to work to play Liath, not to play KO. I had one in 2 of my pools. I had one, and like I draw them, and like I do not have more HP than you, man. And I would try to get them with my villainous pose, and then it'd be great. But it wasn't like Liath that has a boo on command. So I think the good cards for me, I thought KO. I still think KO is the default pool.
Okay.
Which I thought it would be the most played at the calling. It wasn't. Second most or third most? I don't know.
I think it was second. I want to say it was second. Toughnut was definitely the most. Yeah, I'm pretty sure KO was second. Yeah.
I thought it was good to be the first one. For me, that was the basic pool. I thought if all my pools are bad, I'm gonna play KO because you can, like, the cards he needs are very, like, there's not that many cards he actually needs. The thing that matters, if like in a calling, for example, what was very important if you were playing KO was cards like Flex Strength and Punch Above Your Weight, which were cards that allow you to like 3-card 9 or like 3-card 10 or something by only using 1 card. If you don't do that, you will never be Toughnut.
Right.
You need like to have stuff that makes it that, all right, I attack you for 11. If you block with 3 cards, okay, I lost 1, you lost 3, right? This is extremely important. But if so there's the same thing with Flex Strength on Saturday, on the first day, that's what I had. I had a KO pool, and basically I had 3 Flex Strength. I had I think 2 reds, 1 blue, which were, I think, premium. I think they're amazing. Flex Strength blue is so good because, like, like to use KO's ability, you often need a vigor, but not with Flex Strength. You draw 3 blues. Flex Strength is one of them. You go Flex Strength, and you have 4, like 1 floating and a blue in hand. Bump it to 9. It's extremely good. The red one can be buffed. And you can do some stuff like a play that I did all Saturday was I I had the chest that gives a resource. I would use the chest, play villainous pose, so +4 in boo, and then I would play the flex strength. So because it's buffed by the villainous pose, it gets buffed +3. So it's basically a 2-card 7. That blocks 3 and can be used with KO's ability and whatever. So it was extremely good. So I think if you're looking at your KO pool, if you're like actually want to play KO, your best card are flex strength and punch above your weight. Feisty local was overperformer. I looked at it. I remember my first KO pool in world premiere. I did KO. I took it. I was like, this is trash, and just didn't look at it. And then somebody was like, oh, feisty local and KO, amazing. I was like, what? I was like, yeah, because just pump it, and they're always gonna block it because they have to block because they want to block. And I'm like, oh wait, that's crazy. So feisty locals are pretty good.
Yeah, I was very shocked with that as well. Like someone pumped a feisty locals and sent it. It was like a blue feisty locals. I was like, wait, that's kind of nuts. Yeah. Sunny, do you have thoughts on like what you're looking out for in like a KO pool?
There's one card I'm surprised Jordan hasn't mentioned, because if I don't have it, there's a very high chance I wouldn't want to play KO, which is the Reviled Helm. That card is probably the best equipment specifically in KO that you can get, because it's literally just like you have Garland that blocks 1.
Yep, that is true.
Paired that with the boots as well, because you can make might pretty easily with Bask and Greatness, or with the one that just makes 3 mites as a cost 0. You can block with your headpiece, the Valid Helm, and your KO boots at the same time to guarantee that you get that 3 block value.
Yeah, Sonny's very right. The headpiece and boots combo is amazing because you just get so easily. I feel like he's the easiest one to actually get the +2 on his equipment that can block 3. Like there's like all of them have like equipments that can possibly block 3, but he's the one that has the easiest access to it if he just has the headpiece. And it's extremely good. And yeah, I think there's something you look for. I think you can have like possibly the best equipment suite, using the headpiece and the boots. And because the thing is, Tubby Jugs in KO is kind of horrible. It's just to save, like you have a block 2 in hand. I want to save it for fatigue reasons. Because like Liath can use it with his hero ability, Toughnut can use it with his. Pleades can play an aura, have 1 floating, use Tubby Jugs. KO cannot do any of that. So having the boots are like an extreme advantage. They're extremely good.
Right. In terms of ratios, how many blues are you looking for in your kit? Actually, wait, hold on. Before we go to ratios, I have a question. Because you were talking about like the flex strength, which I agree. I was so shocked at how impressed I was with that card. But the math of it's still like a 3-card 9. But it's like 1 card out of deck, like we were talking about. So my question is KO a fatigue deck?
We didn't get to that, but that is something that I was going to mention, which was, out of all the decks, KO, depending on how the kind of pool you open, if you have like enough flex strengths, and not just flex strength, but like good blue attacks in general, like the feisty locals, as you said, because KO with its ability can convert every blue in your deck into 6 power. You can legitimately fatigue Toughnuts, just not doing anything special, but just getting pure numbers value out of your deck. Like your deck numbers could simply just be better than the Toughnut. So I actually agree. Depending on the pool you open, you could be a fatigue deck.
I think KO's main game plan because the thing is, it's actually kind of hard to go like over the top with KO. I did on stream at like 5 cards, 17 or something, and that was the highest I went all day. Usually you'd end up getting like, you go second, you get some go agains, and then you put them at a point where they need to block, and you make them do some horrible stuff like they're 5. or like they're like they're at 2, like when they're under 3, for example, and you attack with a little 1, and they're like, okay, if I block with 1 card and he pumps, I die. If I block with 2 cards, he's just gonna arsenal the last card in hand, and if I don't block, I'll just die if he pumps. So you put them in some weird spot that make it even more like that, actually not just a fatigue game, but it gets you to win a value game late game, because you're like, if you're attacking with a card and then you pump it, right? It's like, it would usually be like 2 cards 6, or like, but you need a vigor or stuff like that. Like it's not a very good value. But if you send 1 card and then you want to pump it, but it just blocks 6, so pumping it is useless, you can just arsenal it. And in KO, if you arsenal the blue, well, it's fine.
It's still 6.
Same thing again.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I've been actively fatiguing each one of my opponent, like, especially Liath. Like, usually you don't kill Liath very much. You just, because he can block your stuff until the end of the time. It's just that he won't have any deck after. Like, you'll have 10 cards in deck and he will have none. But it's a very active fatigue, in my opinion, where you don't block that much, but you just like, you have good numbers for the number of cards you're putting in the discard pile.
Right. It's like each card in deck is 6, kind of, if you're using it on offense. Yeah.
6 and sometimes 9 and sometimes 11 if you have cut the generic. Which I think is interesting. Generics in this sets are pretty nice, pretty good, very good. There's the 7, like Sunny mentioned it, I think, like as a 6 for Toughnut, but like the 3 for 7, there's a 3 for 7 that you're like, okay, 3 for 7 block 2. No, 3 for 7 block 3 almost every time. It's a 3 for 7 block 2 that if you block with another card, it gets +1 defense and you get to look at the top of your top of your deck, sorry. Amazing card.
Right behind you.
Helps you win your clashes and blocks you all the time, and at worst, it's 3 for 7.
Right.
So, yeah.
Cool. Any other cards that jump out to you when it comes to the KO pools? Sunny, you mentioned the Helm. Anything else?
I think it shares a similar pool with Liath, who we'll talk about later, which is you just want to have like the reviled pumps, like as Jordan had said before. Sometimes it can be hard to convert your hand when you do have tempo, so having the cards like Sadistic Scowl or Revolting Gesture, like those cards, just to be able to convert your hand well and actually just get all the value you can of your hand. I think that's pretty important to have. Yeah.
I think it was something that was maybe more of a problem in draft, was that Liath loves the pump. Liath loves the pump, but KO also likes him pretty well, making it that. But like Liath needs the pump, and KO likes the pump. So if like I played all of them, like if I had two villainous pose and 1 pump that was +3, I'd play all 3 in KO. They don't look like good value. They don't look that much like good value, but they help you convert. And if you're going second, converting is so important.
Right. Villainous Pose, I think, it's one of those cards that it doesn't look like good value, but in KO, it's actually a 1 for 4, right? Because this straight up makes you a Vigor, and then it also boos you, so it turns on any of the boo stuff as well. So the value in the card's actually pretty good in KO, which is... Yeah.
Nice.
Also, the turn you play it, it fits nicely into your resource curve as well, right? If you have a 0-cost attack, it fits nicely in your resource curve and smooths out your future turns as well. So I'm like, okay, this card's actually kind of awesome.
It's pretty good.
Ratios, blues. How many blues do you want in a KO deck? I feel like KO could go really high. Like, I feel like you show me a 16 blue KO deck, and I'm like, it's probably still fine.
Yeah. I think you can just put all the blue block 3s and good blue attacking cards in your deck, and you're fine. Like, it's not like you're not... The blues that you put in your deck, you want to play those cards. It's not like they're more than just resource cards versus the other heroes.
Mystic Brute.
Mystic Brute. I will say though, for every heroes in this set, maybe not Toughnut. For all the other 3 heroes, if you got blue that would actually block 3, you put them in. Liath, the auras, the guardian auras, they don't really block 3. That's not a real block 3. But like, I never had a pool where I had more blue block 3s than I had like blue slots. Like, I never had like 14 blue block 3s.
Right.
So my first thing was always, all right, put all the blue block 3s in, and now what are the other blues that fit my curve? I think block 3s are premium, because when you send like block with 2 cards, send 8 and whatever, as soon as you start and you block 2 instead of blocking 3, you feel it. You feel it pretty hard.
Right.
So yeah, I would play. I've been playing also 14 blues, like in Pleades. If someone told me that you went higher than that, I would not be surprised at all. If someone told me, yeah, I was on 18 blues, I wouldn't bat an eye. I would think that's playable.
Mm-hmm. And how many pumps do you think you need in KO? I guess how many like extenders in a sense?
I think you would just play them all.
Yeah,
Every pump you can get. I think the only extender that you play in your deck that Toughnut might not play is Flex Speed, because off of 1 might you can give it go again, and that can help convert as well. Like, the math on it is bad, right? Like 1 card 5, paying 2 resources, but it's more than just like the math of that card. It's about like the math of the overall turn cycles.
Yeah. It works well with the gloves. If you have the gloves that pump +2, with flex speed, it's not great value. Again, like Sunny said, like you'll send 4 resource, and like you'll send 2 cards and a half to send 7, which is horrible. But it has go again, and that matters a lot.
Mm-hmm. Especially if against a guardian or something. Yeah,
go again is very good. So yes, flex speed. That's true. We didn't talk about that. Flex speed is a KO card, not a Toughnut card.
right. So if you see, I don't know, if I see this KO pool and there isn't like a lot of pumps, is it still safe to like be in this hero? Or is there like a minimum number of pumps you would want? You think? I think it's fine if you like just 1 to 2 pumps. Is like it's chill. Okay.
I think you're fine. I don't think you need. Well, your pool's not gonna be very good. Because you will get into spots where you just can't convert. Actually, that might be a lie. If you have 0 pump and a bunch of flex strength, doesn't matter. If you can just convert your flex strength, like if you can just convert your 3 cards with flex strength and punch above your weight and stuff like that, you'll be okay.
Cool. Any gameplay tips? Any specific interactions? I do feel like KOs are pretty like there isn't something like too deep unless I'm forgetting something.
The bluff game is very interesting.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you attack and you did not have the blues, and I would sometimes I would look at my hand and I was like, this is a horrible play. This is absolutely horrible. But I'm gonna look very certain of my play. I'm gonna act like it's like, yeah, this is pretty good. This is pretty good. This is exactly what I want. Send the attack with a card in hand and 1 floating, and they're like, yeah, this guy, he didn't even think twice. That must be a good. I got a red in hand. Please block, man. Please block. Otherwise, I'm gonna lose so much value. So there is a bit of that, that bluffing game, which doesn't happen really early, but it happens like late in the game, which actually does help him, to fatigue his opponent. Is the opponent is like, all right, like I have to block this because otherwise I'm just dead if he has it, and you don't want to take that chance. And sometimes they're like, all right, if he has it, he has it, and then you do, and then they just lose. So this is a bluffing game, which I think is very interesting.
It's like when the Uzuri sends a stealth attack, and then you're just like,
exactly.
Please block 6 on this. I don't have it. Please block 6 anyway.
Exactly.
All right, awesome. Are we ready to move on to Liath then? Our last of the Revolt heroes?
Oh, yeah.
I think one last thing I want to mention is like a combat trick outside of KO ability in KO. I think we did even see that card play in a pretty cinematic fashion at the calling as well, which is we mentioned Mocking Blow before, which is a card that you have to boo to get the buff on it. And unlike in Liath, you can't boo yourself with your hero ability. but there is a card that exists that you can play at instant speed to boo yourself, which is as a concealed something
Concealed
or
object.
yeah, concealed object. So, when your opponent, is just sending their low blow for 3, and you think, oh, they got so unlucky, they can't boo.
I thought
Just be careful.
I thought you were gonna talk about the charm, because the
Oh,
charm.
there's a charm as
Oh,
well.
the charm
Yes.
has been. By the way, I'm very curious on what's gonna happen at pre-release actually, because first day of sealed, they tell us. Actually, I went to judge. On the charm, it says when if you control an attack that has 6 or more, you can the opponent discard a card or they take 2 damage. So I go to a judge. I said, I'm controlling an attack when I'm defending, right? And he says, yes. Great judge. That was not really actually though, because you don't control an attack. You control an attack action card as defending.
Yeah.
But he was like, yeah, that works. And then on the second seal, they all tell us on the big speaker. They said, it works. It should be when you also defend with a card. So it works on defense. It works on offense. We're like, okay, lovely. It makes it much better. Makes it great. And then we arrive on Saturday. And they say, no, does not work on defense, guys. Does not work on defense. That's how we're gonna play it. I don't know who told me that, but I heard there was a bit of discussions between the design team and the rules team, being like the design team like, no, as designed it should be working on defense, and the rules team say, yeah, but we don't care. On the paper it's written that it works on only offense. It's not gonna work on defense. Sorry, guys. Which I thought was very interesting. So I don't know if at pre-release they're gonna do it as written, which is it only works on offense, which makes it a little worse. Do it on defense really felt like a cheater's charm. Really felt like a cheat.
Yeah, it was confusing on coverage too, because on the world premiere day, the Friday, we did have a game end because the player blocked with the 6, and everyone thought, I think they checked with the judge too, and everyone thought it was legal for him to play the cheater's charm, and he did, and that was a lethal damage. And then next day they told us, nope, that doesn't work that way. Which, when you read the card, it makes sense. You're not controlling an attack, like as you said, it's an attack action card's not an attack you're controlling, but it does make the charm kind of garbage if it doesn't work on defense. So
it's worse. It's worse.
Yeah, but coming back to sorry, go on.
It's still good because it boosts you in instant speed.
Yeah,
which sometimes can be like if you attack with low blow and you're like, all right, not boost, suck, and then you play that like, oh. What? Yeah, there was a lot of stuff about wanting to play the charms during world premiere. You could actually play your charms. It was a big thing of trying to play the hero while you got your charms, because KO's one is pretty good. Well, it was pretty good. Now it's okay,
it's a bit less good.
Yeah.
Just a rules clarification on that for some people might not know. If you're attacking with something like a low blow, which is base 3. But if you get booed, it goes up to 6. You can still choose all 3 modes of the cheater's charm when you play the thing. And the second mode will resolve first, where you get booed. Low blow sees that you've gotten booed, or a mocking blow or whatever. And if it's now 6 after you getting booed, you will get the third mode, where you deal 2 to them unless they discard a card. So for people who might not know about that still works. Any boo pumps that happen will happen first, and then the third mode is checked. So you do have that line. And coming back to the instant speed boo thing, the concealed object, you are obligated, if your concealed object is lethal, you're obligated to save from the top rope as you throw it onto the arena. Shout out Noah Bigelman for that one. That was so entertaining on stream.
From the top rope.
Yep. All right, so a final reviled hero, Liath, the Guardian, the one who both of you agreed, if you have the pool for this is the best place you can be. The stats have supported this as well. How do I... Yeah, sorry.
I want to talk, before we talk about Liath, you talked about all the bombs at the beginning. And there's one I wrote down, but actually I didn't realize I didn't mention, which I think also is a dumb card. I played against Sunny, did not win that game, but it was the +3, it's basically smashing good times, but it breaks a Nora instead. It's your next attack kills a Nora on hit, and if you play it from Arsenal, your next attack gets +3 also. It's a generic super rare, and it is such an awful card to play against. Like, you're just like, all right, I have my auras set up. However, like, I think I killed like, my game against Sunny, I was just losing. There was no chance I could win that one. And then I do this, and he has a 4 glory, like, red on board. He's like, well, I can't block this. So, basically a 0 pump, 0 for 9. That was crazy. So that is a bomb that is like, if you have that, man, you can make some Guardians really mad. Actually, one of my games against Liath in draft, I knew my opponent had it, just from drafting. It was on my left. I knew I was gonna take it. And so I did not play an aura during this entire game. Well, if I was, if I could have put 1 turn 0, I would, But as I was doing my plays, I would think like, okay, I can like put this aura and have 5 value, or like block and have 5 value. I would take the block, because if he pumps it and kills it, I just lose everything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I forget the name of that one too, but the one that's basically Plunder Run, but instead of on hit draw, it's on hit destroy an aura. So that's definitely a sideboard card, right? Like you. Yeah.
Guardian card. Yeah, Guardian card. I don't think I would. I mean, this is an argument because it's a pump, right?
It's just a pump, so I think you could just have it in your deck.
It destroys a token aura, and everyone has token aura.
True.
Like, even if it can KO, you'll destroy a Vigor or a Might. So you're like, it still can be like a 0 for 4. But of course, it's not like, you have to have come in from Arsenal. But I think I played it in every matchup. I was playing KO, because it's a turn extender, and it can destroy. Like, sometimes they're like, all right, I'm about to confidence. You're at, well, no, I destroy your confidence. Or it could be like they really need the Vigor to do whatever. So you destroy Vigor. Like, so I thought it's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so Liath then. How do I know I should be in Liath? Jordan, we'll start with you, because I feel like you played the most Guardian over the weekend.
Yeah, well, Liath is, you can't go with, you need pumps. If you don't have pumps, do not play Liath. Well, you can play whatever you want, okay? Who am I to tell you? Liath is going to struggle, because the pumps, if I tell you the pumps are good in KO, you should understand that the pops are amazing in Liath, because you got one more card. So, like, Villainous Pose in KO is like, oh, you can get the value. It's a 1 for 4. Villainous Pose in Liath is amazing. And then the pumps that cost 3 gives you that cost 1 gives you +3, and Might is also great. You can actually play. There's a generic card that gives +4 and boos you and your opponent.
Prime the crowd. Yeah.
So it's just the worst Villainous Pose, but it's still very good in Liath, because it's like, you get buffs. It's amazing. Yeah. So I think you need some pumps and some auras, like a mix of both. Technically, if you have all the good auras, maybe you don't need pumps that much. I'm not too sure, but you need like pumps and auras, because like me and Sonny said, we were afraid of getting fatigued. If you do not have the stuff to go over, you will get fatigued, not just by Toughnut, but by everyone.
Yeah.
Which is, yeah.
I think also part of the reason they're so important is just the math of the deck itself as well. Like, all your attacks get halved, so you can't just do what Pleades does and throw 3 for 8s, because those are 3 for 4s. The only way you are getting damage at all is through pumps and auras. The advantage of a pump over the aura is, unlike Pleades, you can't take the counters off, so you're committing to swinging in 2 turns when you play that aura. Whereas the turn you pump, you can just go off on that turn as well. I think the only Guardian attack you can play that you get full value from is power play out of Arsenal. But other than that, all the other Guardian attacks, except for the yellow ones, the yellow ones are 0 for 4s, because they'll get halved. They get +1 from the Might, and then they get +1 on top of that. So those are attacks you can play in Liath that you can't play in Pleades. But you don't even want too many of those, because they sort of clunk up your hand. You can only really play 1 a turn. That's why you just need the pump spells to really convert and just do anything. If you don't have it, you will just get fatigued.
It did feel like Liath is kind of like Azalea, where you just kind of need like more pumps than attacks. It almost feels like because your ideal hand texture is like 3 pumps, 1 attack kind of thing.
Azalea is 3 Liath in a trench coat. That's what that's what I've been hearing. Same in CC, but it's also true in limited, which is I think why there has been instances of, oh, I had all these auras on the board and I don't have any attacks in hand. Because actually, you don't want that many attacks because you don't like blocking. You will block. You will need to block. And those yellow attacks do block 3, so they're pretty nice. But yeah, it's not like you don't want that many of them, and then your turn, you still don't block extremely efficiently. Like it's weird when you talk about cards. You say, "Oh yeah, 3 cards block 7." But Liath is a bit weird, right? Because 3 cards is worth 2.33 cards or something, whatever. But yeah, I think you need good attacks. You need power play. The one I keep forgetting the name, the generic card that you can pay 3 to give +5.
Punch above your weight, I believe.
Punch above your weight is great. Like as soon as you can do something that you play it and you think this is, if there was played in another deck, this would be on rate. This is crazy. So like if I get attacked with a power play, I was like, oh, like he's doing his 2-card 6 in a deck that has 5 cards. Come on, man.
Right.
So yeah, like you look out for these cards. Look out for these cards. Look out for the pumps. So like if you have all this stuff, if you have the pumps, if you have the auras and the good attacks, like Liath is amazing. Liath is just goes so ham. And if you got that bombs, if you got the bully tactics is like is the card of the set that yeah. It's
Even just the common Intim attack is good as well.
Oh yeah.
Instill fear.
Yeah. Instill fear.
Especially against Toughnut. It just feels so mean. Like when you intimidate a Toughnut. You combine that with like a sadistic scowl or something, and it's like, wait. How many attacks do you think a Liath deck needs before it gets a little too dicey? And it's just too many pumps.
That's a good question.
Yeah. I think because you're a 5 intellect hero, it makes the math so weird compared to a 4 intellect hero, right? Because you have a higher chance of drawing into an attack. I know it sucks to not draw into one, but something that probably also sucks is drawing into a bunch of them. So, I mean, I don't think either of us played too much Liath ourselves that weekend. I imagine, probably like 8 to 10 would be a good amount. The rest can all just be pumps for you.
I could see that. And I think that kind of leads us a little bit into gameplay tips as well, which is when you have started setting up these auras, definitely just arsenal and like an attack you see like as soon as possible, because the next hand might not have it, and if the auras pop and you don't have your attack, you are just you just lose. Like the game's just over. I want to talk about the hero ability a little bit. I think a consensus that started happening as the weekend went on is people just use the hero ability to create 1 might. They're like, the blocking part of it doesn't matter. The hero ability says get booed, make 1 might, and like that's all it says. You don't care about the +1 defense.
I knew when my opponent would boo during their own turn, I was like, oh, mocking blow's coming. Or stuff like that. I was like, oh, he's about to do a so above value card. And sometimes they use it defensively, but like without blocking, just to get the might. Which would happen like sometimes you're like, all right, you need to go over the top. Blocking right now doesn't do anything, and I have this yellow block 3. Just give me my might. And you'll take the might. And so I think there's a lot of skill involved in the do I use Do I use it defensively or offensively? But more than anything, there is a lot of skill involved in pitch stacking using Liath ability. Because you can send, like I said, you can send your attacks. You can send your blue goon cards, which are great attacks if you manage to like get some stuff with some auras. You can send some yellow, guardian cards to the bottom. So you can get you can do some pretty nice stuff second cycle. Very interesting.
I think the might in the opponent's turn is really big as well. I think something I saw the players that, the stronger players doing is, especially if they had some sort of evasion setup, like say a confidence setup, or they're about to do an intimidate play, and they have the spare resources to Liath, they would just Liath in the opponent's turn so that the +1 damage lands on the thing that has the evasion on it, rather than Liath in their own turn or whatever, just like making extra might for the following turn. I think that's another little bit of extra skill expression. Like make sure that might is going like where you want it to. Yeah.
A lot of the time, if you're pitching anyway to play auras, like you just have the floating to get that bonus might as well. And it's like whether you go first or second, you don't have to draw an aura. You can just use your Liath ability. You always get +1 value.
Mm-hmm.
It's free.
Well, I guess if you're going second, you will still be tapped when it comes back to you.
Yeah, but you'll get to swing at them first.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
With the +1 might too.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as like Toughnut losing it. Like Toughnut not being able to Toughnut ability on his own turn means he has one less card in hand. Kind of. Yeah. Well, that's not the case for Liath, right? Like he's still gonna draw.
Yeah.
So like almost every game, if you go second, you Liath on your opponent's turn. Like unless you have like a card in hand that says I want to get booed, then you might not.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well,
like low, like if like just low blow. Low blow in the blue is two card 6, I think.
Plus the might would be it would be 6. Yeah,
6.
Yeah.
Because it's 5 plus the might.
Yep.
2 card 6 on simple Liath ability and throwing low blow, which again, if you do that with 2 cards, 2 card 6 in a hero, 2 card 6 in a hero that has 5 int in a low power set. Because KO does that 2 card 6, and he has only 4 cards, so makes some pretty good stuff. Yeah,
my favorite I think was Liath ability into escalate violence. So it all goes on the following turn as well. It feels kind of insane when you do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anything else on Liath before we wrap it up?
I think it's good. He's good. He's just good. He was the scary one. He was the scariest one in sealed. Interestingly, I think his worst matchup is actually KO, because KO can fatigue him pretty easily, but also can just kill him. Well, to be honest, you'll never die as Liath against KO, because KO doesn't have that much over the top, so you'll just like throw your whole hand and get fatigued in an instant. But KO was a hard matchup because sometimes you'll just set up a little bit as Liath, and KO will have one go again thing in hand and makes it that, all right, you take 12. Like 4 card 12 is not amazing, but you have 20 HP, right? And if as soon as Liath, like if Liath on his big turn needs to block, you can just fatigue him. Unless he, because the thing is, like the intimidate does need cards. Like if you play sadistic Cal and whatever, like if he blocks with 3 cards, he might not be able to play those.
Yeah, it does seem like KO is the one that can put the fastest clock on the Liath. And once a Liath starts blocking, they're in a very losing. Liath's like the aggro deck of the format, basically. And so once they're starting to block, the opponent's just winning. And KO's the one that's can make the Liath start blocking the fastest. Cool. First or second for Liath. Do you think it matters much? Or?
It does.
Mhm.
I think Guardian Mirror again, same as Pleades. You want to go second. Again, like it's like you basically, no matter what they do, you basically do Liath ability on their turn. I think, unless like I said, you have
A boo
like
or
you have Mocking Blows in your deck that you might draw up or stuff like that, or lay low, low blow, sorry. But like you want to be able to, all right, they send an attack, and you're like, all right, putting auras on the board, and then you go back to your turn, does some pumps or whatever, or put more auras, so you'll have like 2 turns in a row that you're going ham, and they're just gonna die. So I think you want to go, you want to go second in those. I think you want to go second into KO also, and I'm not sure into Toughnut. I think you want to go first into
I'll
Toughnut.
go first. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Mm.
want to go first into Toughnut because to be honest, Toughnut wants to go first. But yeah, I felt when I was playing against KO, but when I was playing against other Liath as KO, they didn't get to go second. They always felt pretty mad about it. Because like pumps are good in KOs, right? But you won't have that much of them. You won't have that many ways to convert. So there is a chance, and if you do have ways to convert, you do not want to throw them on your turn 0. Like you have a hand that does, oh, I can do a 4-card 12. You do not want to do that on your turn 0. So if Liath pushes you to do that by playing auras, like he's kind of still winning a little bit. And often your hand would say, I can throw 6 or I can throw 7. And if you do that against Liath, he's just going to play an aura. Then on his turn, going to play more auras. And then you better get him low, very low, because that's what happened in my first game on stream. He went second, played an aura on my turn. Then it was his turn, played more auras. Then I attacked. And he was like, okay, I don't care. And then attacked me for a whole lot. I went down to like 3, attacked him for the whole lot. That was not enough. And then he still had like a +6 on the board. Like he blocked with like 2 or 3 cards, but he still had +6 on the board. So send me like 14 and then 12, and then he kept going. Going second against KO, I'm pretty sure. And then second against the other Guardians and first against Toughnut. Like everyone wants to go first against Toughnut.
Yeah, I think Liath does the thing against Toughnut where you go first, you set up an aura, and then on their turn you do more auras. So they're now all the auras you've played across 2 turn cycles are on the same counter.
Yeah, exactly.
And you blow them up.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's important. That's important. Knowing, do I want to play my auras on my turn or on your turn? That's extremely important. Because timing does matter. It does matter with Pleades. It does matter with Liath. Sometimes you do want to just put them on their turn so it goes faster, and sometimes you want to put it on yours. Being a little later.
Yeah. Cool. Sunny, any final thoughts from you on Liath?
Yeah. I guess my last thought to close off would be, I know you mentioned like Liath sort of seems like the aggro deck of the format, but at the same time, I would also say like he is also more of a combo deck than maybe some of the other decks as well. If you just sort of want to go like all gas, no brakes, that's how you can get fatigued really easily if your opponent knows what they're doing. So, for a particular game, you may have to try and set up one turn where you deal, 25 damage to try and close the game out. Which, might require you to do some pitch stacking of some sort. As Jordan had said previously, like you can live for as long as you have cards in your deck. It's just you just need to make sure you have the damage left to be able to close the game out.
Right. Yeah, I think calling a combo deck is probably a little bit more apt. Yeah, it makes sense. He's not trying to do like 15 per turn cycle. He's trying to do like 20 and then 20 kind of thing. Awesome. Well, thank you again, both of you, for coming on and giving everyone an amazing pre-release primer. Before I let you guys go, where can people find you? Sunny, why don't you start with you? If people want more Sunny Young, where do they go?
Honestly, I'm trying to be not online these days. Don't really do too much on social. So if you want to meet me, you'll probably catch me at some events is the best way.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks for coming on here, despite not doing too much on the socials and online. Jordan, what about you?
One day I'll get social media presence. One day. If you want to talk to me, the best thing would be to say something I disagree with in the International Purple Discord. Yeah, that's pretty good. Say something egregious in some of the channels I go to, and you'll be like, oh yeah, there he is.
All right.
Also, yeah, if you come to Montreal, come to locals, come to Silver Goblin, come to find armories. You might find me there. If you go to PQs, I'm always there.
Awesome. Well, so for now, we have both of you on this episode, and maybe that's inspired you all to be maybe a little more
Maybe
active.
one day I'll do the guides that I always thought I would start doing at some point.
For sure. I'm sure people would love to see that. Well, that was episode 231 of Arsenal Pass. Go crush your Super Slam pre-releases, and we will see you in the next one.